So, welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight. I'm Jill Poba, and the wonderful and lovely Tony Sayers is here, and his website is transcendingtimes.org in case you have the wish to book him. So, Tony, welcome back. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, Judith. Always a pleasure to guest on your YouTube channel, which I don't know how it's remained up for so long. You've jumped through all these hoops to keep it up, like me. So I don't know how we're still on YouTube, but that in itself is an achievement.
Yeah, but I had to go through that phase where I put it on private for 3 months.
Yeah. I remember when I was on 2 strikes, I was like waking up every morning, checking my emails. Have they taken it down yet? Have they taken it down yet? Trying to like get everything onto BitChute where no one goes. It's just
But yeah, I just read an article that Google has lost the lawsuit against RT, and they have to restore their YouTube channel.
Oh, wow, interesting. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's a small win then.
Yeah, the tiny things that we love.
Yeah, we've got to take those victories though.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Actually,
Tony, we are going. What?
I watched a video yesterday. We won't go into too much because probably this video get banned, but there's a new video from Bill Gates saying that he's disappointed that nobody trusts him and stuff. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I feel for him.
I know, right? He's like he's doing this like evil Austin Powers bad boss grin the whole way through. It really is like something out of a movie, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
the stereotypical bad guys with the Klaus Schwab. I mean, that Austin Powers movie, it must have been made based on what was going to happen.
So, Tony, I'm going to jump right in.
Okay.
So sometimes we hear the term etheric implants, and then we also have terms like holographic inserts. So is that one and the same? What would you say?
Yeah, I would say that these implants have different names in the alternative. I call them etheric implants because that's basically what they are. They're implants that are in the energy field, the etheric. And yeah, it's quite interesting because these implants, a lot of the time, they almost look the same as the stuff that Elon Musk is bringing out with like the NeuroLace, the NeuroNet. So that tells us that whatever's coming out now in 3D form has probably been there for a long time in the fourth dimension. And so, yeah, with these implants, and a lot of people will know this that is listening to this, but where you have like a physical brain, you have an energetic version of the brain, physical heart, energetic version of the heart, etc., etc. And so it's at that level, that 4D level, that's where the implants are taking place. And those implants obviously can affect our physical functioning as well. So, we have a lot of implants generally around the brain, the throat, the heart. These are all really common areas that I find stuff. But actually, we're implanted all over. Surprisingly, the hands and feet also have a lot of implants. And you realize just how everything is connected, when you remove stuff in weird places that you wouldn't imagine. Quite often, depending on how energy sensitive a person is, will feel those subtle shifts of those being removed. And a lot of this stuff is really quite heavy duty as well. What I found on clients quite a lot are these like metallic helmet looking things. So yeah, they really have gone to town on this stuff. So it's definitely a battle that's going on in all levels. Quite often it can be at night when we get these implants. A lot of people that I've worked with down the years, and I've seen the trend that, and actually my own experience, actually the other day, whereby I got sleep paralysis, and it's sleep paralysis, obviously, where you're being pinned down in your dream and it feels like your mouth is sewn up. And I was in that state. It must have been a long time. And it's all well if you've got a partner, they can wake you up. But, if you haven't, then you're left there until you wake up. But I was in this state for a while. And when I woke up, immediately I asked to see what it was that was attacking me. And through clear visual or remote viewings, I saw this like 5-headed snake entity. But I felt like my stomach had been they'd gone to town on it. I could feel it was like dense and heavy, and yeah, there was a whole ton of implants that I had to remove from that area. And so yeah, at night we're a little bit more vulnerable because we're out of body. So they often use that time to do their BS stuff. And yeah, particularly, if we're having a bad dream or nightmare, we're in that kind of anxious, fearful state. They'll obviously use that to their advantage. And yeah, so it's a big problem, and it's just another extension of what they try and need to do to hold us back. And I always like to spin it on its head, because when you talk about this stuff, it can sound quite depressing, and you're like, oh, we're screwed. They're doing this during the day and physical, and then at night and all this. But we really have to ask ourselves why they need to do this to us. And the reason that they need to do it is because they know, left unchecked to our own devices, without all the hijacking, left in our expanded state, humans, it's game over for them. So they have to target us and try and bring us down. And yeah, one of the ways that they do this is through the implants. And they'll implant different areas for different reasons. Obviously, just touching on the heart again, they don't want people opening their heart for obvious reasons. The frequency of an open heart is very high, and that affects other people around a person who's in that open-hearted state. So there's often a lot of implants around that area for that reason. But with the brain as well, sometimes I'll wake up, or I've had clients that have gone to bed and woke up and they just can't, their memory's not as good the next morning, or they just feel a lot of brain fog, and just, yeah, like something's off. And that's what they want to do. They want to try and waste your time, put you back a step or two, make sure that you're not cognitively functioning at full optimum level. An interesting thing that happened to me a few months ago, I did a live feed, and normally I talk for about an hour and a half, 2 hours on the lives, no problem. But after about 10 minutes, I couldn't talk virtually. I was all croaked up, and I was like, this is really weird. I was fine before, I speak to clients for hours all day, but this particular video, I had to keep drinking water. And then when I checked in afterwards, there was a big implant in my throat. So whether they'd done that in the night before or what have you. So the other point to bear in mind is that everyone's targeted, but some people are more targeted than others. And that can be for different reasons. Not everyone's going to take to a world stage or write books or something like that. But for some people, it can just be, they might be really highly sensitive, and that that frequency of like a natural transmuter of negative energy. So they may be highly targeted with implants and just entities in general. Yeah, so we're all subject to targeting. It's just some people more than others. So yeah, that's the short story with it.
So Tony, how do we end up with these implants in the first place? I mean, you just mentioned during sleep that can happen. So what is there something that we can avoid during the day that might set us up to being implanted?
Well, I mean, like I say to everyone, until we get out of this matrix, I think we're always going to have that interface with the fourth dimension and everything that resides in there. And unfortunately for us, the stuff that resides there is not very benevolent. Yeah, I mean, in terms of what we can do, this is where my work's going to go in the next 6 months to a year, is we need to start practicing our clairvisual abilities and our remote viewing abilities, which we all have. And I want to make that point, you know, what I'm doing, anyone else can do. It's just the difference. The difference is that, you know, I've been doing it for 7 years, and it's like a muscle. Unless you use it, you lose it. And, you know, 7 years ago, I had I had clairvisual abilities, but they were dormant. And so just through working with people over time, you know, that becomes a muscle that gets stronger, and then you're able to perceive more. And then the next stage of that is to learn to clear those things ourselves. And again, that is something that anyone can do. And again, it boils down to experience, how much you've trained, how much you've strengthened your energy, to the point on how quickly and how effectively you can clear this stuff. So where my work's going is there's going to be some kind of course or something to bring out in terms of teaching people some techniques in terms of strengthening their own energy, training their own energy. And it's almost like a computer game in terms of you start with your energy bar sort of quite low, and the more you train and practice, the stronger that gets, the more effective that you become at clearing this stuff. So there is other things that you can do as well, particularly around sleep, dream time, which will lessen the effects. So one of the things you can do is to set the intention before you go to sleep to stay in your body. So you're not out there and open. You can also, or what you need to do, or what people need to do, along with energy training and strengthening their energy, is learning how to shield. And that, so just a couple of techniques I can give you here. When I shield myself or I shield people, the technique that I use is I use pyramids. I use with intention, I create a pyramid internally, and then another pyramid externally. So a pyramid within a pyramid, and then a sphere around the other two. So it's like a 3-layered shield. And then with your intention, you want to spend a few minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes every morning or every evening before you go to bed, just strengthening each layer of that shield, and also programming it. So people don't realize you can program your energy. So program it to, I don't know, if you go to bed at 9 and your alarm is set for 8 o'clock next morning, so you program that to work for those hours at night. So that will also lessen the effects. And also you can do, one thing that I've done that's helped quite a lot is also shielding your room and your bed. So again, with your intention, maybe filling your bedroom with golden light, and just again programming that to protect you through the night. So there's a few techniques that will help. It's not 100% foolproof, but it definitely does help. So
so when you say not everybody gets attacked alike, you know what puzzles me? I mean, yeah, you have written books and you have put your face out. Okay, but it is not that, you know, either one of us has hundreds of thousands of followers or millions. I find it funny that they deal with small potatoes. You know what I mean?
but you know, acorns lead to oak trees, right? So,
Mhm.
and you know how these beings are, they're completely paranoid, they want to control everything. So
Okay.
so even one person speaking about these things is a real threat to them. I mean, I never used to get any kind of attacks when I was speaking about like 3D level of the matrix, you know, the
Mm.
corruption in terms of politicians, 9/11, all that stuff. Never had one single attack, not at night. I mean, I was probably had entities and stuff like that. Everyone does. But it was only when I started to get to this level of the matrix that I started to get sleep paralysis, you know, stuff happening in dreams, and just really the ante being upped on my level of interference, to the point now where I have to clear myself twice a day. Once when I get up in the morning, and then around 1 or 2 in the afternoon, because I've just got so much stuff around me that's trying to mess with me. So yeah, it doesn't, for them, you know, it doesn't need someone to have 1 million plus followers, because that's the other thing with our energy. I truly believe that one human in a more expanded energetic state, without a lot of this crap, can affect other people and make a difference on a frequency level. So from their point of view, yeah, one person is probably just as dangerous, really. So, and then obviously those ideas get spread to other people, and then hopefully it spreads out. So.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. So, what would you say? Certain movie scenes, music, things like that. Is that something where you can put yourself into a position where you get a lot of implants?
Well, in terms of, and I had this conversation with a client yesterday, in that what they've done is they've set up society to be a much easier interface with the entities and the fourth dimension and their interference. So when you look at what is popular in society, we have alcohol, drugs, pharmaceutical drugs,
Mm.
low vibrational music, low vibrational movies and stuff like that. And when you look at it, it's like, there's a trend there, because these entities, they operate at lower frequencies and they like that food. So they've set up society, and it's a trauma-based society as well. I was speaking to someone else about how just we're traumatized at birth, even if we don't actually, even if there's nothing apparent that's happened. The way modern day birthing is done, in terms of the mother's supposed to squat and not lay. So that's the first thing. So the baby gets stuck quite often. Can you imagine the first breaths in life? You're stuck in this. And then they whisk the baby off into an incubator at the vital bonding moments. So there's
Yeah.
like, that causes a huge abandonment wound straight off the bat. Then they cut the umbilical cord way too early. So there's that fear of loss. And these entities are so ruthless that when the baby goes through that trauma, even at that age, they'll come in and they'll attach, and the baby's got an attachment for the rest of their life until they remove it, because these entities can see future timelines. They've got our cards marked. They know what sort of person that you are, what sort of threat that you pose to them, so they will target accordingly. But my point was going back to just how society is set up for entity attachments, and for them to make their life very easy. And that starts with all the trauma that we have. From the moment we come out of the womb, it's set up for them to attach themselves. And if you imagine a world without all of that, with uplifting music and just a different kind of reality. Let's use the New Age, New Earth, the New Earth world. I mean, that's exaggerating it a little bit, but if we didn't have all the drugs, the alcohol, I mean, no one even really talks about alcohol, and like it's crazy that we just drink this poison that's ingrained in our culture. It destroys our cells. It destroys our ability to absorb nutrition. It makes people do stupid things. The most stupid things I've ever done in my life was when I used to drink. I mean, it's telling you in terms of the word spirits that it opens you up to spirits, and but yeah, no one questions it, and we live our lives based around it. When there's a wedding, we get drunk. After work, we get drunk. When we break up with someone, we get drunk. At the weekend, we get drunk. It's like it's so ingrained in our society, and of course they love all that because you're down at their levels, and same with drugs and the cult of the pharmaceutical industry, which we're seeing now. And we were just speaking before about this phenomenon that I was seeing. I won't mention all the words because people know what I'm talking about. But when you take the snake oil, that there's people that are dying in the most peculiar and bizarre way, in terms of the fact that they're looking up to the sky and they're doing this like twirl with their hands, going into like some kind of trance, and then just collapsing. I mean, as soon as I saw the first thing, I thought that's an entity. That's an entity that's come in and taken over, some kind of like soul snatch or something. So those the snake oil's definitely done something to bring those people down, right down to a level where it seems really severe, heavy attachments can come in. So as we were saying, it's spiritual warfare. It's all out spiritual warfare, and I wish that people in the alternative media looked more at this hidden, or this dimension, because that's really where it's coming from. And people talk a lot about the 3D stuff, but really, if we just talk about the 3D stuff, we're not going as deep as we need to in terms of understanding the distorted form of consciousness that is ruling over this planet right now, or at least thinks it is or wants to, and how it works, and the intricacies and the deception and the manipulations and the connivingness of it. And I've spoken a lot about the masquerading that goes on. People get completely triggered by it. That they don't want to believe that these entities will masquerade as angels, as loved ones, as Jesus. They just can't go there. And we need to go there because we need to understand what we're dealing with. We need to know thy enemy. So more and more people need to look at where this is actually coming from, and really understanding how it works and the levels that it's going to on the etheric level with the implants, and the ways in which it manipulates people.
So talking about Jesus, we touched on it in the previous interview, but just a little bit. but I know that you have experiences with crucifixion implants. And I noticed that, for instance, I do not watch any scenes in a video, in a movie or whatever, where a crucifixion is going on. I switch it off immediately. And so I have a real disgust
Yeah.
against that. Could you talk a little bit about that? What these implants do, and what's the best thing to avoid them?
Well, it's all symbolic. I mean, I've seen halo implants on people.
Hmm. Hmm.
Actually, there was one that I found a few months ago, and it's literally like a halo, but it was coming down the back and all the way down through the body. Um, and there's also another one that I've seen. What's the one with the leaves, the Caesar thing? The forget the
The
name.
breath.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Mhm.
I've seen stuff like that. And yeah, the crucifix implants are quite common. So I don't know what every one of them does. I just remove them. But as I said before, they're all to do with maybe affecting your memory, your cognitive abilities. If it's your heart, closing your heart energy down. A lot of implants in the stomach. Anything to get you off key. Anything to make you feel not great or just not firing on all cylinders. Um, so a lot of them are subtle, but they're still quite annoying. Um, and that's really how these entities work. They want to waste your time. They want to get in your head. Um, if you have any thoughts that might level you up, or even if you think, oh, I'll go for a walk in nature today, then they'll be there going, no, don't do it today, it's going to rain, or do it tomorrow or something. You have to, people need to start discerning what's their voices and what's voices coming from outside. And I think you've had Jerry Marzinski on. Have you had Jerry Marzinski?
Yeah, many times. Yeah.
Yeah, Jerry Marzinski. I mean, he talks about it in a little bit more depth in terms of schizophrenics and the voices that
Mhm.
they have in their heads. Well, we all have these voices in our heads, and these inorganic ones, they're entities, and they're always trying to take us off our path in the most subtle ways. There'll be the voice in your head that, they'll say, look, just go on, have a glass of wine. You've had a long week. It's just have a couple of wines, or do you know what I mean? Just you're trying to give up, I don't know, smoking weed. They'll be like, oh, you've had a hard week. Just have one joint. So they'll play on your unhealed wounds and your desire to just check out. And they'll encourage bad habits. And yeah, so we really need to be discerning and really tune into our inner self, our inner voice, and separate what is them and what is us.
Mhm. So when you work with somebody, what is the process? And what I'm aiming at here is, what is it exactly that dissolves those implants?
My energy,
Okay.
uh, yeah, my intention to clear them. So if I see an implant on someone's heart or brain, I use my pendulum as well. I use this. This is my secret weapon.
And that does what for you, this pendulum?
Well, this pendulum has over 100 crystals in it. I don't actually need to use this anymore. It's just that's how I learned with energy clearing. So it's become a habit. Sometimes I'll just sit there and just use my intention. If I'm clearing myself, I'll just say, show me the entities. And the subconscious is so clever; it will show you the ones that you need to get rid of most. It's like a pack of cards. It's like this one, this one, this one, this one. Um, and that's really what clear visual abilities it is. It's people think that you remote view through your pineal gland, but you actually remote view through your soul. Um, and that it's as simple as asking your subconscious to show you what it is. And then, of course, the next thing that comes with that is learning to trust what you're getting. So if you, this is the big stumbling point that people have, because they don't, because it's so not, it's kind of taboo. It's almost feels like a superpower that is inaccessible. People, when they start, they might get something and they'll think that they're making it up, but just destroy it anyway, because your subconscious will show you in ways in which is easier for you to perceive it. So learning to trust what you get, and then it's just clearing it. It's just, you can shoot your energy at it. You can imagine your energy coming down and clamping down on it and destroying it. Some people, I've worked with another healer, uses like an ice gun, freezes it and it explodes. It's the intention behind it. Doesn't matter how you're going to do it. It's more the intention. And yeah, the more you do that, the more you practice, the stronger you'll become. There is a really good technique that will help people to strengthen their energy, and it's called the Waterfall Technique. So you can, what you need to do is imagine like a body of water in your head. This is symbolic of your energy. And so what you want to do is, say you want to clear implants. So you say to your energy, okay, so clearing any implants, AI implants in my body. And so you imagine that water cycling down one side of the body, all the way down to the other side, down and up, in like a sort of washing machine motion. So round and round and round. And that will clear things. And you should notice some shifts. And when you first start doing that, you might feel tired it might make you tired because you're just starting, but the more you do it, the more you practice, the stronger you'll get. So it's a really good way of strengthening your energy, getting used to clearing stuff. And you can localize that as well. So for example, a lot of people, they'll say, oh, I feel like my heart's blocked, or I don't feel, that's one of the reasons is because of all the implants. So if you want to work directly on your heart, you just imagine that working around the heart, up and down, clearing any implants. And again, you should notice, depending on how energy sensitive you are, some subtle shifts. Everyone's different energy sensitive. Some people feel everything and some people don't feel anything. Work with people, they burp and fart the whole way through the session, and other people, they don't feel anything. So there's no right or wrong. So you shouldn't feel discouraged if you don't feel anything. The more you clear, the more you practice, the more you'll start to feel energy. So everyone's at different levels with this. Some people are just very naturally energetically sensitive. And yeah, so that's a technique that people can try.
When you described that technique, and you started your description, what felt natural to me, you went in a different direction, doesn't matter. But what felt natural to me was, okay, I imagine myself, in this water, and while it's still up, I charge it like there is no tomorrow. And then I let it go, and with that shit, all the other shit.
Amazing. So you're already one step ahead. So what you can do, so if I'm working with a client that's got a particularly complex problem, I will imagine a dial, and I'll dial my energy right up. And like I imagine there's like a maximum, dial it right up, and then I'm like, boom. So that's really good what you said, because you left out a part that I do actually incorporate, but you went to the next advanced stage on that. So, but there's another, while we're talking techniques, there's another one that's good for grounding that people might want to try. People think that when you ground, you have to go out into nature, and you can do that obviously, and that's good. But you can actually ground from anywhere, again using your subconscious imagination. So what I do is I picture, and I've got this place in my mind. I picture myself in this beautiful lake area with all these forests. Looks a bit like Germany actually in the autumn. So I've got, funnily enough, and I've got this log, and I'm sitting down by this lake. And so what you can do is imagine like looking down the earth, because we want somewhere for this energy to go. So imagine there's like, and we don't know what's at the bottom of the earth, but imagine for this purpose, there's like, I don't know, a lake fire or something like that. So you can see the physical, and then you've got like a hole coming from your feet down into the bottom of the earth. So what you're doing is, again, you can imagine, I like to use golden light. White light for me is like false white light. So I don't like to use the white light. So again, you want to imagine
What about clear light? I like clear light.
Yeah, I mean, whatever there's no right or wrong way. It's all about your intention. Just the white light gives me the heebie-jeebies. So I stay away from that, just from the experience of all the new age stuff. So you can imagine that like twirling above your head and then coming down and just sort of again clearing everything, going through your throat, your heart, your neck, your chest, your stomach, and down through your feet, and then just all like the dark energy that you want to remove just coming down through the feet into this like bottom of the earth, into the fire. So that's also a good one. You can get really creative with this stuff. I mean, it's fun. It's like having a computer game in your head. And there's other ways of clearing contracts. I was with a client a few months ago, and we just started getting onto contracts, and I saw like piles and piles of contracts for this guy. And I was like, wow. And then there was backup contracts, birth certificates, contracts we've signed when we were drunk, contracts we've signed at death. A lot of us are signing contracts when we die because we don't know what's going on. We're dead, and these entities were like, oh well, if you just sign this and give away some of your soul energy, then you won't have to go into the hell realm. So we signed all these contracts, and there were piles of them in backup contracts. So I asked to see all the contracts. There was about like 10 piles. So I was like, that's going to take too long. So I created this like fire, and I moved all these contracts into the fire. And so, and he was feeling the shifts as I was doing that. And then J seals as well, you know, seeing those, and moved all those in, and then there's other stuff like ancestral black magic and voodoo and witchcraft and all that stuff. And I saw like 4 big like witches cauldrons. When I asked to see it all, this is how clever the subconscious is. It packaged it all for me. But so I understood what it was. It was like in these like potion, like, so I moved all those in. I was like, and so, you know, you can get creative with it, and it's like I say, it's stuff that everyone can do, but it takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of trust in your own abilities, and that's the thing. When I first started, I had the biggest problem with was trusting what I was seeing, because I was like, whoa, that thing looks like an Elon Musk implant. Oh, I'm making it up. And I was like, that's just, I'm just thinking it, I'm making it up. And so I had to overcome that. And, you know, that came with like practicing on friends and family members. So just practice on yourself, and then on family members. And, you know, then over time, you know, you can get better. And because really the end goal with what I want to do with my work is to get people, or at least help people to get to that level where we're doing this, you know, ourselves. We need millions of people, or hundreds of thousands of people, all having the ability to clear this
like
stuff.
brushing teeth in the morning.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's just like anything. It's the more you do it, the more efficient you come. And I always liken it to an electrician. If my electrics go down at the moment, I don't know how to do it. I'll probably electrocute myself. So I'm going to call someone in. But I know that if I spent day after day practicing and learning about, I don't know, switchboards and all that stuff, then I could do it. But I'm, I'm not going to get that there without practicing. So um, it's really exciting to think that we could all be proficient in doing this stuff. But like anything, it's going to take will and action, and people have got to put in the hard hours to do it.
Yeah,
But
but
getting started is very easy.
what?
Getting started is very easy.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I have to say there is a lot of things in there that I have been talking about for a long time. Trust yourself, for instance, yeah? And because, yeah, okay, we live in a narcissistic culture. I get it, and yes, we have real nasty narcissists running around, but then again, we also have people who have such low self-esteem and they do not trust anything, that comes from themselves.
This is the other big problem, um, and when I talk about and when others have spoken about the fact that we've got to stop looking at outside of ourselves for like God or
Yeah.
someone's coming to save, and actually that we have that fractal within us. People, because of their trauma, the unhealed trauma, they can't go from here to here with that idea. This is why when you say that, it's such a big leap for people, because they haven't done the work on themselves to trust themselves and to have that core belief. And the same goes for their energy work. If you have a feeling of this isn't going to work for me, I can't do this, that's coming from a place where at some point in time you were left to feel not good enough, not worthy, that you couldn't do something. And so that needs to be resolved, to really take you up to the next level in order to have that deep confidence in yourself, which we have to separate narcissism from confidence. And
Yeah.
this is something that, especially from where I'm from in the UK, I don't know what it's like where you are in Germany, but there's this real underlying feeling that if someone does well or thinks or speaks with confidence, that they're arrogant, or do you know what I mean? It's like we want to bash those people down. um, and I think there is a difference. I think, yeah, there's people that can come across as narcissistic and a massive ego and all that stuff. But I don't think that we should be discouraging people that do feel worthy and do feel and have that confidence and that belief in themselves. Because actually, right now, it's time for all of us to stop playing small. I think we've been playing small for way too long, and we've not. It's almost like we're scared of our own potential, and anyone that really wants to embody that potential, they're shot down. But for us to move forward and get out of this, we've got to stop playing small, and we've got to realize that we are capable of these things. It's not taboo, and we can all do this stuff, and everyone has that ability. We need to really move on from this kind of little me, I've got no power, what can I do, victimhood mindset. Um, but
Waiting for the savior.
yeah, and that comes with doing the inner work. And unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't want to do that. And I brought out a video a few months back because I was just overwhelmed at that point with a lot of the people that were were looking at savior programs still, and even, you know, some of the emails that I was getting, and I was like, we're just not getting this. We're not getting this. We are not getting the fact that no one's coming to save us. No one, no God, no Jesus, no aliens, nothing is coming to save us. We are the ones. People go, oh, well, who are the good guys then, Tony? There must be good guys. Yeah, we're the good guys. We are the good guys. We are the ones that are coming to save us. And people really need to wrap their heads around that quickly, because the longer this need for escapism into saviors goes on, we're screwed, because they've got a number of saviors that they can offer us at any given time. There's a flavor for everyone, you know. If you want Buddha, he's there. If you want Jesus, he's there. If you like the Arcturians, they're there. You know, false god, whatever, angels. I mean, it's really kind of childlike, really. So we've got to get.
Yeah, it is childlike, and it is, in a way, it is sad, because I find it sad if, you know, adult human beings expect others to fight their battles.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that to me feels not very adult, you know. It's not a grown-up thing to do that.
No, and it's no one's. It isn't anyone's responsibility to do that for a person.
Yeah.
But people seem to expect that. A lot of people seem to expect that, and you know, even within alternative media, and I feel like a lot of the time people want to consume a lot of information and watch YouTube video after YouTube video after YouTube video, and then you'll check in with them and like, right, okay, so what have you done in a work? Oh, well, you know, I'm just, you know, and it's like, okay, the information was there 5 years ago about what will help you to level up, and we're still getting the same, you know, problems, and it can't be like that. We've got our shit, and it's not our fault what happened to us, but it's our responsibility to heal that. And then when you heal that, all the feelings of worthiness, good enough, all of that will come back, and we can really authentically and organically embody that, and really become empowered and sovereign. Because I think that words gets banded around a lot, but I don't know if everyone does that work to move them into the real essence of embodying that. And I'm not sitting here saying that I'm the finished article either. I've got work to do, and I still have sessions myself, you know, on my inner child. I work with a lady in Canada, and I've been doing it for 5 years. But I just get a little bit frustrated in the fact that people like to talk a good game a lot of the time, and there's sometimes, not with everyone, but sometimes there's not the effort and action needed to move them from that victimhood to where they need to be. And people will hate me for saying that.
Yeah, you know, this is not a popularity contest.
No.
We are offering our thoughts, our insights, and our experiences, and take it or leave it. Yeah, but I would say exactly the same. As long as we still have that urge for a savior, political savior, whoever it might be.
Yeah.
We don't get it. We don't get it.
I'm in a Telegram group 2 years down the line, and I'm seeing posts about QAnon still.
Yeah.
And at this point, and I know you feel the same, Judith, because we spoke off air, it's like you get to a point where you're up to here with it, and it's like, how are people still barking up that tree? I mean,
yeah.
It's like, what have these people done in the last 2 years to move themselves forward? They've done nothing. They're still stuck in waiting on people like Trump, and Yeah.
Yeah, the entire QAnon thing to me feels a little bit like a business model, at least for some people. Yeah. Some people really grew big and yeah, it's a
Yeah,
business
I
model.
know, I know. But you know, what does that whole psyop play into? It plays into people's need for a savior. They know us so well. This is the thing. They know us so well. They know what we need, what we'll respond to. So when people woke up into all this nightmare, it's like, what can we give them? We'll give them Mr. Trump, the Trump card, and we'll just funnel everyone in the way that we want them to go. It's psyop after psyop after psyop after psyop. Um, so yeah, it's frustrating because I really, and I'm not just saying this, I really feel and see the true human potential in our healed, expanded state of consciousness, working on our telepathy, working on our psychic abilities, working on our clairvisual abilities, our clairaudio. But imagine all these different abilities that we have, really truly becoming embodied sovereign beings. That's where they absolutely hate us going. They don't want us going there at all. That's where
Yeah,
we
and then it's game over for them.
it's game over for them. But
Mm.
that not enough people are putting in the effort to bring themselves up to that level. Um, and you have to meet it. You have to meet it halfway. There's no good watching YouTube videos and then just sitting back and thinking, well, I learned something. What are we doing with the knowledge that we're getting? And even with that, I've said recently, you know, it's not about watching 100 different documentaries. It's watching the right documentary. It's not about, I mean, take this book that we mentioned. Great
Yeah,
book. Great
Maelstrom.
book.
Oh yeah. Mm.
Right? I could read, how many books could I read about the Second World War? I could read thousands.
Mm.
Am I going to find what's in this book in any of those books? No.
Yeah.
So it's not a case of me reading 1,000 books. It's the right book. It's the right information. And I think we're going here, there, and everywhere, taking in all this information.
Mm.
We're not discerning, and we're not coming to objective truth on things. Um, so yeah, I definitely think that we have massive potential. I really want to help people to reach that potential, because the more of us that reach that potential, then we will get out of this, because we're completely uncontrollable at that point. But that takes some elbow grease.
Yeah. So my last question, Tony, and I think it needs to be talked about. When you're clearing people, I assume it would be also possible that if you go to somebody and you expect him or her to clear your body, your light body, that is, um, that they could also, if you're really inexperienced, put more shit on you instead of clearing you.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, for example, and I've come across them,
Mm.
healers that, I mean, there was a healer back in the day. She was snorting cocaine. I didn't know, but I found out later she was snorting cocaine. And she actually told me that the cocoa plant was helping her. Can you believe this, right? This is how deluded she was. There's a lot of quote unquote shaman that I've heard of down the years on these retreats. That creeps me out, that word. And they're drinking alcohol when they're doing these ceremonies. And so you really, if you're going to work with someone, you really want to tune into their energy. You want to make sure that they're only using their own energy. They're not working with Archangel Michael or light language or the Arcturians or, you know,
Yeah.
some false white light that's going to hook you into a false white light grid and siphon you even more. So you really want to make sure, A, they're working with their own energy. B, you know, as when you're feeling into their energy, does their energy feel clean? You know, and it's all a resonance. It's all you can feel into people's energy. Um, and obviously the information, you know, does it sound nice, but does it sound true? There's a big difference. So yeah, when working with people, it's very important to be discerning. And this has been the problem down the years, people going from healer to healer, not saying that they all have bad intentions. Of course they don't. Just some of them don't understand, all the false white light stuff and the masquerading entities. And they're spending thousands of dollars and they're no better off. In fact, they're sometimes worse off, or many times worse off. So just be very careful with who and what you're working with. And yeah, I mean, if that person's not really keeping their own energy clean, then there's a chance that what's working through them can hook onto you. So
Yeah. And
so one other point to make, sorry.
okay.
If people are interested in working with their own energy and strengthening their own energy and clearing entities and clearing implants, what they need to understand is that it's a double-edged sword, because yes, you're going to get better, you're going to be strengthening your own energy, you're going to be able to clear stuff, but you're going to get more targeting. So
Yeah, sure.
so
Yeah.
if you go down that path, just know that, if you get sleep paralysis when you start working, it's because they don't want you doing it. So you need to be careful as well. So just be prepared for that if you want to embark on doing this work.
I even have a sign in my bedroom that it is absolutely forbidden to tamper with me during my sleep. No abductions, no fill-ins, no nothing. Mm?
Yeah. It's good. Intentions very strong. If we only knew how strong it was. So yeah, along with the techniques that I've outlined here, might be worth trying as well. I mean, like I say, you're never going to be 100% clear of it. It's just getting it to a point where it's more manageable. And yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Tony. Thank you so much. I know your time is limited, but I think we have some good points in here.
Yes, it was good to get some techniques out there for people to learn. So thanks for having me on again.
Yeah. Okay. So that was it, guys. Night Flight for today with Tony Sayers, and we see you all next time. Bye bye. Maybe this button.